All right, let's get right into it. We're going to talk about something I think we've all felt, but maybe couldn't quite put a finger on. It's that subtle, powerful way a group can start to change you. Not just what you say, but what you actually believe. It's what we're calling the slow surrender. And this quote, wow, it just gets right to the heart of it, doesn't it? This isn't a story about someone holding a gun to your head. No, it's not about force. It's about something way quieter, and honestly, maybe even more powerful. It's just about being surrounded. So, how does this whole thing even start? Well, here's the crazy part. It doesn't start with pressure at all. It starts with comfort. Yeah, the first step into that group dynamic, it actually feels really, really good. Kind of like coming home. And this is what makes it so sneaky. It's all so innocent at first. We're talking about the little things, right? The inside jokes, sharing the same take on a movie, that feeling of, yes, me too. It's just the comfort of agreement. Each little nod, each shared laugh, it's like a tiny reward that tells your brain, hey, this is good, this is safe. But then, something starts to shift. And you probably don't even notice it at first. The space you used to have for your own thoughts, it just starts to shrink. Those quiet moments where you just think, well, they get filled up with the group's noise, the chatter, and pretty soon you're not even looking for that silence anymore. Okay, so this leads directly into the next phase. Once you're in, you start learning the rules of the game. And here's the key. Nobody hands you a rule book. You just pick it up. You learn the unspoken rules, the rhythm of the group, just by watching. You figure out what you need to do to belong. And this slide just lays it out so perfectly. This is the code. First, you laugh when they laugh. Then, you agree when they agree. It becomes automatic. You might tell yourself, okay, I'll think about that later when I'm alone. But here's the catch. Later never comes. That quiet moment you saved for questioning, it just dissolves into the background noise of the group. And this is the absolute core of it. You get to a point where the thought of disagreeing, of being the one to rock the boat, it just feels heavy. It's this huge weight. And suddenly that weight feels so much worse than the quiet little feeling of just being wrong. Keeping the peace becomes more important than being wrong. Okay, so this is where we hit a really critical turning point. This is the moment when the group's shared opinion stops feeling like just an opinion and starts to feel like the truth, like actual objective reality. See, the group doesn't have to win a debate with you. It doesn't need facts and figures. All it has to do is repeat something enough times. An idea gets echoed by everyone over and over, and it just normalizes. It stops being a weird idea and just becomes the way things are. And I love how this slide shows the change inside your own head. Your internal monologue literally flips. Before, your first instinct is to ask, do I actually believe this? But after, the question becomes, well, why wouldn't I believe this? Everyone else does. The entire burden of proof just flips on its head. And there it is, the final step. You stop calling it the group's opinion and you start calling it common sense. And once you do that, it's game over. How can you argue with common sense? You can't. It's the ultimate permission slip to just stop thinking about it. So you've made it. You're in. You belong. Feels good, right? But there's a price. There's always a price. This comfort isn't free. So let's talk about the very high cost of belonging. So what's the first thing to go? I want you to really think about this for a second. The first thing you lose, it isn't your freedom. Not exactly. It's something else. Something you have to give up first for any of this to work. Doubt. That's it. That's the first casualty. The ability to just stop and ask yourself, wait a minute, is this really true? Doubt is the spark for all critical thinking, and it's the very first thing you trade away for that warm, cozy feeling of agreement. And here's a weird side effect. Once you get rid of your own doubt, you can't stand it in other people. You become almost allergic to it. When someone else questions the group, it doesn't just feel like they're wrong. It feels dangerous. It feels like a threat to the comfortable little world you've built. And this is the truly heartbreaking part. At some point, you might try to remember what you used to think before all this, and nothing comes back. It's gone. Your own voice has been so completely drowned out by the group's voice that all that's left is an echo. just noise. So why? Why would anyone let this happen? It all comes down to this single, powerful truth. It's because belonging feels safer than thinking alone. That's it. At a deep, primal level, the safety of the tribe just feels more important than the scary, lonely work of thinking for yourself. But is that the end of the story? Is it a permanent trap? Well, not necessarily. So let's switch gears and talk about the way back. How does freedom return? Now, here's the first thing you have to understand, and it's a big one. Freedom doesn't just come back because you physically leave the group. You can walk out the door, but the problem isn't the room you were in. It's the mental habits you built in that room. The echo of the crowd can follow you anywhere. So what is real freedom then? It's this. It's an internal muscle. It's the ability to sit with an unpopular thought, a thought that goes against the grain, and not immediately try to run away from it. It's about being able to handle the discomfort of disagreement, even if it's just a silent disagreement inside your own mind. And that brings us to our final thought, and it's a big one. The crowd. It never actually needed power. It never needed weapons or authority. All it ever really needed was your silence. These huge forces of conformity, they're not built on some grand scheme. They're built on tiny individual moments, the moments we choose not to speak up. The power, you see, is something we grant. It isn't something that's taken from us.